I still hear the sound of her heels on the steps. Sharp, angry, like a gavel hitting a judge's desk. My wife was 8 months pregnant, her hand on her belly, just trying to get to the car. Then she screamed, and I saw her body tilt forward. The HOA president didn't even flinch. She smirked, like she'd just won something, but what she didn't see was what was coming up the street. 6 dress uniform Marines, turning the corner, running straight toward us, and when she realized who they were, her face turned white, like she'd seen a ghost. Welcome to HOA Nightmares, where suburban drama meets real-life karma. I'm Alex, a regular guy living in a quiet American suburb, a dad, a husband, just trying to live peacefully. If you hate HOA power trips, if you can't stand Karen behavior, then hit subscribe and stand with me and drop BOOO HOA in the comments. Let them know you're not scared. Now let me tell you what really happened that day. I never thought my life would feel like one of those HOA nightmare videos people play for fun, but trust me, when it happens to you, it's not entertainment anymore. It's war. And the worst part, it started with something stupid, a mailbox. We moved into this neighborhood 2 years ago. White houses, green lawns, perfect sidewalks, the kind of place where everything looks friendly. On the outside, but behind those neat bushes and clean driveways, was a whole jungle of petty power, led by one woman, HOA Karen. Her real name was Cynthia, but nobody used it because she acted exactly like the stereotype. Short haircut, fake smile, clipboard always glued to her hand, like it was a weapon. The first time we met her, she came knocking at 7:12 in the morning. My wife Emma answered. Still in her robe, half asleep, Karen smiled. That type of smile that never reaches the eyes. She looked at Emma's belly. Back then it was only 5 months, and said, "I hope your baby doesn't disrupt the neighborhood peace." I thought she was joking. She wasn't. From that day, our life slowly turned into paperwork hell. First, it was a warning for our grass being half an inch too tall, then a fine because our trash can was visible from the street for 2 hours, then a letter saying our porch light color wasn't HOA approved. Emma tried to ignore it. She always did. She'd rub her belly, smile softly, and say, "Let her bark. She's just noise." I tried to be calm too, because stress wasn't good for her, or the baby. But Karen, she fed off stress like a vampire. We were on our porch that morning. Emma was going to her doctor appointment. I was about to drive her. She moved slowly, her feet a little swollen, one hand holding the railing, the other on her stomach. She smiled at me, that tired but beautiful smile, and said, "Just a few more weeks." I swear, that moment felt peaceful. Then heel clicks, fast, sharp, angry. I didn't have to. Look, I already knew who it was. Karen appeared at the bottom of the stairs with a fresh set of papers and a smirk. Her favorite meal, drama, she said. "Good morning, residents. We've noticed multiple violations on your property." I stepped forward, trying to block Emma from her, because Karen had a habit of getting too close. I said, "Not today, Cynthia. We're heading to a doctor appointment." But she didn't even look at me. Her eyes went straight to Emma's belly, like it offended her. She raised her clipboard and started listing things. Mailbox height incorrect, porch decorations unauthorized, stair rail paint faded. Emma tried to stay calm. I could feel her breathing change, slow, heavy. Karen stepped up one stair. Getting closer to her, I moved in front. Karen smiled wider and said, "You people always think personal problems excuse rule breaking." Emma spoke softly, her voice shaking. "Please, I'm not feeling well today. We'll handle this later." But Karen leaned closer, so close I felt like she wanted to smell fear. She pointed her red-painted nails, almost touching Emma, and said, "If you can't maintain HOA standards, maybe you shouldn't live here at all." And that's when I lost my calm. I told her, "Step back." Now, her eyes narrowed. She hated that. Someone challenging her. And then she did something I will never forget. She shoved past me, like I was invisible, and placed her hand on Emma's shoulder. Not gently, forcefully. I heard Emma gasp. I saw her try to regain balance, her foot missing one step, her body tilting forward. And my heart stopped. Everything slowed down, the sky, the birds, the whole world. I reached out, but too late. Emma's body moved. Her scream cut through the air like glass, and Karen didn't even look scared. She looked annoyed, like someone just spilled coffee near her. I saw blood drain from Emma's face. She grabbed her belly, crying out my name. I don't remember. Screaming. But my throat burned after. Karen raised her hands, pretending she didn't do anything. But her eyes were cold, empty, she said. She should have been more careful. In that moment, I swear on my life, something inside me snapped. But then I heard running in the distance, heavy boots, in perfect rhythm, through the panic, through the fear, through the sound of Emma crying. I looked up, and I saw them. Navy blue uniforms, perfect posture, golden buttons shining, 6 U.S. Marines running up the street. Their faces serious, focused, like a storm rolling in. Karen froze. Her confident posture shattered. For the first time, she didn't look powerful. She looked small, scared, and as they got closer, her lips started to tremble. I still remember what she whispered. Wait, why are Marines here? What would you have done if you saw someone hurt your pregnant wife like that, right in front of you, with your whole neighborhood watching? Would you lose control or stay calm like I tried to? Tell me in the comments. The boots hit the pavement hard, in perfect timing, like thunder rolling closer. Karen's face went pale, her lips dried, that fake little control smile melted away. The same woman who 3 minutes ago was acting like a dictator, now looked like someone about to faint. The Marines moved fast, not running like in movies, but in full control, like every step already calculated. One of them, tall, broad shoulders, eyes locked directly on Karen. He didn't have to shout, his presence alone was enough. He said, "Ma'am, step away from her." Karen tried to talk, tried to regain control, but her voice cracked. "I'm the HOA president. I was just enforcing community rules." The Marine didn't even blink. He just repeated, "Step away." Now, she stepped back. One step, then another. Her heels shaky, her hands trembling. I didn't even look at her anymore. All my focus was on Emma. She was sitting on the step, her breathing uneven, her hand still wrapped tightly around her belly. I dropped to my knees, holding her. "Emma, talk to me. Please." Her lips moved slowly. "I'm okay, I think." But her eyes were full of fear, not just pain. Fear, like something inside her body had shifted, and she didn't know how bad. One Marine came close, knelt beside us. He had that calm voice. The one you only hear from people who've seen real chaos, ma'am. "Where does it hurt?" Emma pointed to her lower stomach. He nodded, already signaling another Marine. "Call it in. We need medical now." Karen jumped in again, trying to sound important. "This is private property. You have no authority here. This is HOA jurisdiction." The Marine stood up slowly, turned toward her. And that moment will stay with me forever. He didn't raise his voice, didn't threaten her. He simply said, "Ma'am, you just crossed into assault, and this is now beyond your little board." Karen froze. Assault. The word hit her like a truck, and for the first time, her body language changed completely. From power to panic, I could see her mind racing. Legal fees, reputation, control slipping away. Neighbor doors started opening, people gathering, phones raised. She noticed, and her whole attitude flipped. She suddenly started crying, loud dramatic hands over her face. "I didn't mean it." She slipped. You all saw. She slipped. But nobody believed her because the entire block had already seen. Her hand on Emma's shoulder. Her push. I kept my arm around Emma, trying to keep her calm, trying not to shake myself. The ambulance siren started howling in the distance. Karen heard it too, and she went full panic mode. Wait, we can handle this internally. We'll sort it as a community matter. No need to escalate." The Marine looked at her coldly. Community matter doesn't include shoving a pregnant woman downstairs. And that's when something shocking happened. Another Marine stepped forward. "You don't recognize us, do you?" Karen blinked, confused. He removed his sunglasses slowly. "We live here too." Her mouth fell open. "We moved in 2 months ago. You fined my wife for hanging an American flag at the wrong angle." The street went silent. Some neighbors gasped. Karen stuttered, I don't remember." He stepped closer. "You said if she wanted patriotism, she should move to a military base." Karen's knees almost gave way. The twist hit her all at once. These weren't just Marines passing by. They were residents, HOA victims, just like us, and they had been watching her. For months my chest felt heavy. Not just from anger, but from realization. She thought nobody could touch her, but she had been stepping on landmines. With a blindfold on, the ambulance pulled in. Paramedics rushed out, quick, focused, checking Emma's vitals. One of them whispered to me, "Any dizziness, any hard pain?" I answered without thinking, "Yes." She fell forward. He nodded, his face serious. "We're taking her out." "May Chaboon, just in case." Emma squeezed my hand, her eyes watering. "I'm scared." I leaned down, kissed her forehead. "I'm with you, always." As they carried her to the ambulance, Karen broke again, crying louder, trying to create sympathy. "I never meant any harm, I swear. You people don't respect authority. I'm the victim here." The Marine looked at her, took a slow breath. "No, ma'am, you're not the victim. You're the reason the neighborhood breathes differently." Her crying stopped, because she knew. He was right. A police cruiser also rolled in, lights flashing, blue and red painting her face. She tried one last time. "Officers, this is just a misunderstanding. I represent the HOA." The officer interrupted. "Not today, you don't." They asked for statements. Witnesses stepped forward, phones handed over, video recordings. Karen's push. From 3 angles, she looked at me, her eyes filled with fear now, and she whispered, "We can fix this. You don't want trouble here." I stepped close, for the first time, looking her straight in the eyes. "You already brought it." She swallowed hard as the officer started questioning her, as neighbors watched, as the Marines stood silent. I felt something inside me shift. Not just anger, not just revenge, something darker, something controlled, because I knew this was only the beginning, and she had no idea what she had just started. If someone like her ruled your neighborhood for years, and suddenly the power flipped, would you show her mercy, or let her feel every bit of what she put others through? Tell me in the comments. The neighborhood didn't sound the same after that day. No more morning lawnmowers, no more fake smiles, no more forced HOA greetings, just quiet. The kind of quiet that comes after something breaks. Emma was lying in the hospital bed, monitors beeping softly, a slow, steady rhythm, like a fragile heartbeat. The doctor said the baby was safe, but stress like that was dangerous, very dangerous, and I believed him. Because every time Emma closed her eyes, her body flinched, like it expected another push. I sat there, holding her hand, feeling her fingers tremble. She tried to smile, but I could tell. It wasn't real, just her being brave. Like always. I kept seeing Karen's face, over and over. That moment on the stairs, that little smirk. Before the shove, I didn't sleep. Not really. Just stared at the hospital ceiling, letting anger crawl through my chest. Not loud anger, not screaming anger. Something quiet, cold, sharp. When we got back home, 2 days later, the street felt different. Some neighbors waved, some avoided eye contact, some just watched quietly through their windows, like I was part of a show now. And Karen, she wasn't outside, she wasn't walking around with her clipboard, she wasn't knocking on doors, but I knew. She was watching somewhere, behind curtains, behind locked doors, waiting to re-strategize. People like her don't disappear. They just hide, until they can strike again. 3 days passed. Then the letter arrived. Not from the HOA, from their lawyer. I laughed when I opened it. Not because it was funny, but because it was predictable. They claimed Emma lost balance. They claimed Karen only attempted to intervene. They claimed injuries were accidental. Typical. No apology, no accountability, just words shaped like lies. Emma read it, her hand shaking. Why are they doing this? I just wanted peace. I held her, feeling her body go stiff, because for her, this wasn't a fight, it was trod. Ma, but for me, this was war. And the next day, she came back. Karen, not knocking, not yelling, just standing on the sidewalk, holding more papers. This time, no clipboard, no smile, just fake calm. She looked thinner, her makeup heavier, her expression controlled, like a politician. Facing a scandal, I stepped outside. Before she could come closer, she raised her hand. "Let's be adults," she said. I wanted to laugh. Adults don't push pregnant women. Downstairs. Her jaw tightened. She lowered her voice. This situation is becoming complicated. We don't want things to escalate. It's not good for your family. I looked at her, her perfect hair, her manicured fingers, and realized she didn't come to apologize. She came to negotiate. I crossed my arms. You pushed my wife. She almost lost our baby. Her lips pressed together. She didn't deny it. She just said, mistakes happen, emotions run high. You're saying this like it was a parking ticket. She leaned slightly forward. We can make this all disappear. No records, no fines, no court. I kept my face still. And what do you want? Her eyes flicked to the house, to Emma behind the window. She swallowed. We want peace and compliance. There it was, the real her. You withdraw any complaint, stop the police process, and we'll forget everything. I took a slow step closer. Karen, you broke something inside her, something you can't put back. With paperwork. Her eyes darkened. You don't want to make enemies. In this neighborhood, I stared at her, not blinking. You already made one. She stood silent, like she didn't expect that. Then her tone changed, hard, cold. If you don't cooperate, you'll be dealing with violations, non-stop, I smirked. So this is a threat now. She straightened. We call it enforcement. I stepped back. Good, because we call what you did assault. Her lips twitched. She didn't respond. She just turned and walked away. But I saw it, the twitch in her hand, the tension in her shoulders. She wasn't done. She was just planning. And that night, it began. At 2:17 a.m., bright headlights, parked right in front of our window, not passing. Not moving, just sitting. The engine humming softly. Emma noticed immediately. She sat up. Who is that? I moved to the curtain, slowly peeled it open, and I saw her car. Same silver sedan, same stupid vanity plate. Karen, sitting there in the dark, watching our house. I felt my hands clench. Emma whispered, "Why is she here?" I didn't answer, because I didn't have one. She sat there. 14 minutes, just idling. Then she drove away, without looking back. And that night, Emma didn't sleep. She just stared at the ceiling, listening to every sound, like someone waiting for thunder. The next day, the violations started again. Trash can placement, mailbox paint, driveway cracks, one after another, emails, letters, notices, non-stop. Her revenge. But she underestimated something. She thought I was just angry. She thought I would explode, make mistakes, give her ammunition. But what she didn't know was that while she was busy making my life hell, I was watching her too. Not out of rage, out of strategy. Because I realized something. Karen didn't just bully me. She had enemies everywhere, quiet ones, tired ones, people she had crushed slowly, for years. And they were waiting for someone to stand up first. One neighbor, one spark. And when I knocked on Mr. Peterson's door, the old veteran 3 houses down, he looked at me slowly and said, "Took you long enough, son. She's been terrorizing this street for 15 years, and we're all tired. If you were me, would you try to fight her alone, or bring the whole neighborhood together, and make sure she never walks those streets the same again? What would you do?" The sun was barely rising over Harbor Ridge, but the neighborhood was already buzzing like a disturbed beehive. Windows were open, curtains slightly pulled apart, phones recording from behind blinds. Because today, the HOA wasn't dealing with a normal homeowner anymore. They were dealing with someone who understood their games and was about to end them. Marcus stood on his porch, coffee mug in hand, completely calm. He watched as 3 HOA board members, led by Gloria Whitman, marched across his lawn like they owned it. Gloria wore her usual tight smile, the one she only used right before ruining someone's day. "Mr. Hayes," she said sharply, "we've received multiple complaints about you again." Marcus chuckled. "From who? Your imagination committee?" One of the other members, Rick, cleared his throat nervously. "You still haven't complied with the emergency rule changes implemented last night." Marcus raised an eyebrow. "Emergency rule changes? At 2:00 a.m.? Gloria's smile twitched. "It was necessary." "For what?" Marcus asked. "A midnight power trip?" Some neighbors quietly laughed from their driveways. "Bad idea." Gloria snapped her fingers and Rick unfolded a paper. "You are officially in violation for unapproved fence height, excessive lawn furniture, and unauthorized hostile landscaping. Marcus tilted his head. Hostile landscaping? You mean my flower garden? Yes, it's aggressive looking, Gloria replied seriously. Marcus stared at her. You're telling me my petunias are a threat to national security? A couple of people choked back laughter, but Marcus didn't argue. Instead, he walked back inside. And that is when people got nervous, because Marcus never walked away. 5 minutes later, he came back out holding a thick folder. Not just papers, receipts, documents, records, screenshots. He handed them to Gloria. What's this? She demanded. Marcus smiled. My compliance. She flipped through the pages. Her face slowly drained of color. Rick leaned closer. I don't understand. These are HOA files. Marcus nodded. Yeah, public ones too. Funny how messy your accounting is when someone actually reads it. The neighbors leaned closer now. Marcus continued, calm and surgical. You fined me for fence height, but on page 12 of your own bylaws, maximum height is 6 feet. Mine is 5'10". He flipped to another page. You charged me landscaping violations while approving the same design for the Whitman residence last summer. Gloria's jaw tightened. That's different, she muttered. How? Marcus asked. Is your yard legally special or just morally corrupt? Gasps rippled, but Marcus wasn't done. He opened his phone. A small speaker click echoed across the silent street, and suddenly, Gloria's own voice played. We'll just keep fining him until he gives up. People like him always do. The recording lasted only 10 seconds, but it landed like a nuclear strike. Every porch, every phone, every neighbor heard it. Someone whispered, Holy! Gloria lunged forward. That recording is illegal. Marcus raised his hand. Check state law, he replied. One-party consent. You might want to read that before you rewrite the Constitution next time. Rick stepped back. You recorded board meetings? Marcus corrected him. No, your conversations in public spaces, while you plotted harassment. A long silence. Even the birds seemed to pause. At that moment, something shifted in the neighborhood. No more blind loyalty. No more automatic obedience. They weren't seeing an HOA authority. They were seeing bullies exposed. Then came Mr. Alvarez from 2 houses down. You fined me $600 last year for a mailbox color, he said. Another neighbor added, You threatened me with legal action over my kids' chalk drawings. A third voice, You made my mom cry over trash cans. Gloria stepped back. You people don't understand. Order, rules, structure, or control, Marcus interrupted. His voice wasn't angry. It was disappointed, and that somehow hurt more. He stepped forward. You had power, he said quietly, and instead of protecting the community, you used it to satisfy your ego. He gestured around. And now, that power ends. Rick swallowed nervously. You can't just end the HOA. Marcus smiled slightly. You're right. Then he pulled out one final document. But the county can. Neighbors leaned closer as Marcus held up a formal complaint, signed by over 20 households. With evidence of harassment, misconduct, discrimination, and financial mismanagement, Marcus continued. Already sent. Already received. Already under investigation. Blinds shut quickly. Doors opened cautiously. People stepped out, standing behind Marcus. Not because he asked, but because they were tired. Gloria's voice weakened. You're making a mistake. Without the HOA, this place will fall apart. Marcus looked around, at the friendly neighbors, the kids riding bikes, the old couple holding hands across the street. He smiled. No, Gloria, he said softly. It'll finally begin again. That day, Harbor Ridge didn't just change rules, it changed power. And for the first time in years, the homeowners weren't afraid of the HOA. They were free from it. 2 weeks after Gloria Whitman's public humiliation, Harbor Ridge had changed. Not just on the surface, not just in conversations. The fear that once controlled the neighborhood, gone. People walked their dogs without checking over their shoulders. Kids drew chalk art without worrying about fines. Gardens started blooming again. And the HOA office? Completely silent. Too silent. Marcus didn't like silence. Silence meant something was brewing. And he was right. It happened on a Tuesday night. Marcus had just finished dinner when his phone buzzed. Unknown number. He ignored it. It buzzed again. Then again. Finally, he answered. "Hello?" A woman's voice, calm but sharp. "Mr. Marcus Hayes?" "Yes." "This is Danielle Foster from the Harbor Ridge Legal Counsel. We represent the Homeowners Association." Marcus leaned back slowly. Interesting. They finally found a lawyer. "We need to discuss the defamation you've committed," Danielle continued smoothly. Marcus smiled. "Defamation requires false statements," he replied. "Everything I showed was documented, recorded, or proven." There was silence. Then she continued. "Regardless, the board believes your actions have caused financial damages and emotional distress." Marcus chuckled. "You mean the people who emotionally distressed the whole neighborhood for years?" Her voice hardened. "They're filing a lawsuit." Now this was what Gloria had left behind. A lawsuit. HOA versus Marcus Hayes. The final desperate move. The next day, word spread fast. Some neighbors panicked. Some felt guilty. Some told Marcus to apologize just to keep the peace. But Marcus? He did the opposite. He smiled. "I was waiting for this," he said. Court day arrived 3 weeks later. Small local courtroom. Big local drama. On one side, Gloria Whitman, Rick, and 2 other board members with their lawyer. On the out. They're Marcus, alone. No fancy suit, no legal team. Just calm eyes and a black folder, the same one. Gloria looked nervous. Her confidence was gone. Her control, too. Danielle stood up first. "Your Honor," she began, "Mr. Hayes conducted a public campaign of harassment, defaming our clients and damaging the reputation of the HOA. As a result," the judge raised a hand. "We'll hear the evidence." Danielle nodded and pointed at Marcus. "He publicly recorded conversations and spread misinformation, causing emotional trauma and monetary losses." She turned toward Marcus. "Is this true?" Marcus stood calmly. "No, Your Honor." The courtroom grew quiet. "And I can prove it." He walked forward. Slow, controlled, not aggressive, not defensive, just prepared. "I did record conversations," Marcus admitted. "But not illegally." He handed papers to the clerk. "Here are the state laws on one-party consent." The judge looked them over and nodded. "Continue." Marcus flipped open his folder. "Now let's discuss defamation." He looked directly at Gloria. "You fined me illegally." He dropped document 1. Proof of bylaw violations. "You misused HOA funds." Document 2. Bank discrepancies. "You targeted residents unfairly." Document 3. Complaints from neighbors. "And you threatened harassment." He pressed play. That same voice recording filled the courtroom. "We'll just keep fining him until he gives up." Gloria's face went pale. Murmurs filled the room. The judge lifted an eyebrow. "Is this your voice, Ms. Whitman?" Gloria hesitated. Well, it's taken out of context," Marcus calmly replied. "The full recording is attached, Your Honor." Then he did something no one expected. He didn't stop there. He called witnesses, neighbors, real people, real stories. Mr. Alvarez testified about his unfair fines. Mrs. Chen spoke about her harassment, and even a single mother explained how the HOA had nearly evicted her over parking. By the time they were done, this wasn't Marcus versus HOA. This was the community versus corruption. Danielle attempted to recover. "Your Honor, even if mistakes were made, they do not justify public humiliation." The judge raised a hand. "You don't sue someone for exposing reality." Silence. Heavy. Final. After a short break, everyone returned. The judge looked directly at Gloria and her board. "With the evidence presented," she said firmly, "this court finds no grounds for defamation." Relief rippled through the room, but then she continued, "However, I do find sufficient evidence of HOA misconduct, harassment, and financial mismanagement." Gloria froze. "The court recommends an immediate suspension of the current board pending county review." Marcus slowly exhaled. The whole room held its breath. "This case is dismissed," the judge said, "and the evidence will be forwarded to the appropriate county authorities." Outside the courthouse, cameras flashed. Local news reporters. "This just in," one said. "Harbor Ridge HOA under investigation after multiple allegations of abuse of power." Gloria slipped away without a word. Rick didn't even look up. Their reign had ended. Later that evening, Marcus stood on his porch again. Same spot, same wooden steps, but a completely different world. Neighbors gathered around. Some clapped, some thanked him, some just stood in relief. "You didn't just defend yourself," Mr. Alvarez said. Marcus shook his head. "I didn't do this alone," he replied. "You all stood up too." A little girl tugged his sleeve. "Are we safe now?" she asked softly. Marcus crouched down. He smiled warmly. "Yes," he said. "For now, and for always if you never let bullies control you again." The sun dipped below the rooftops, and Harbor Ridge finally slept in peace. But unknown to them all, something bigger, something darker, was already watching from outside the neighborhood lines, and it was about to arrive. The neighborhood slept peacefully for the first time in years. No warning notices, no random fines, no threats taped to doors, just quiet. But peace never lasts long in Harbor Ridge. Because when small tyrants fall, bigger powers notice. 3 days after the court hearing, a black SUV rolled into the community. No one recognized it. No HOA sticker, no neighborhood pass, just tinted windows and government plates. It parked right in front of the old HOA office, and the whispers started immediately. Marcus was watering his plants when he noticed the crowd forming. Mr. Alvarez waved him over. "You see that?" he asked quietly. Marcus nodded. "I do." "County?" Mrs. Chen asked. Marcus studied the car. "No," he said. "County vehicles are blue." The SUV door opened. A man stepped out. Black suit. No smile, no rush. Followed by a woman in a gray coat holding a leather folder. Both of them walked into the HOA office without a word and locked the door behind them. 10 minutes, 20, 30. The entire neighborhood was watching. Then suddenly, 5 more government vehicles arrived. Not county, not city, federal. Marcus felt it. Something wasn't right. An hour later, the door opened. But it wasn't Gloria walking out this time. It was the woman in gray. And she wasn't nervous. She wasn't angry. She was focused, like someone used to absolute control. Her eyes scanned the crowd. Then they stopped on Marcus. Direct hit. "Mr. Hayes?" Her voice was clear, strong. No fear. "Yes?" Marcus replied, stepping forward. She handed him a card. "Department of Regional Oversight, Federal Division." "We need to speak with you," she said. "Privately." The entire neighborhood froze. Marcus paused, then nodded. Inside the HOA office, things looked different. Filing cabinets were open, documents were everywhere, computers disconnected, like a BOOO scene from a crime show. The man in the black suit stood near the desk, scanning a laptop. "This is worse than expected," he muttered. Marcus looked at the woman. "Explain," he said. She gestured for him to sit. "Ms. Whitman and her board weren't just abusing residents," she said coldly. "They were part of a larger network." Marcus's jaw tightened. "What kind of network?" Her eyes didn't blink. "One laundering HOA funds through fake vendors and shell repairs across multiple states." Silence. Heavy. Real. "This wasn't just local corruption," she continued. "It was centralized." Marcus leaned back slowly. "How deep?" Her lips pressed thin. "Deep enough that you made them nervous." That part stunned him. "They didn't sue you," she said. "They sued you to buy time." "For what?" She slid a file across the table. Inside, pictures, bank records, HOA connections in other neighborhoods, fake contractor companies, the same names repeating over and over. "Your case triggered an internal review," she said. "And when they saw your evidence, they panicked." Marcus looked up. "So why come to me?" She gave him a small, serious smile. "Because they didn't just watch you." She tapped a photo. "They marked you." Marcus looked down. It was a street camera shot. Him, walking his dog, late evening, from 2 nights ago. We believe someone is still operating nearby, she said, and we think they'll try to scare you next. Marcus stared at her. They already did, he replied. You just didn't know yet. That night, the entire neighborhood was placed under observation, unmarked cars parked quietly on corners, surveillance teams blending into shadows. Officially, no one said anything, but everyone felt it. Something bigger had stepped into Harbor Ridge. 2 nights later, the message came. Not as a letter, not as a fine, but as a warning. Marcus walked out to his driveway early morning and froze. His car was untouched, but his windshield had a symbol drawn in dust. A simple circle with 3 lines. A mark, a signal. His phone vibrated instantly, a blocked number. He answered. Silence, breathing, then a voice. You exposed the wrong people, Mr. Hayes. The line went dead. Marcus didn't panic, didn't rush. He calmly took a photo, sent it to one person, the woman from the office. Her reply came within seconds. Don't touch anything, stay inside. Minutes later, the black SUV returned, faster this time, with more vehicles. They analyzed the mark, photographed it, ran it through databases. Finally, she turned to him. You just confirmed something, she said. What? Her face darkened. This wasn't just HOA corruption. She lowered her voice. It's a controlled intimidation network that hides inside community organizations. His stomach tightened. Like a shadow government? She inhaled slowly. Not government, she corrected. Influence. Later that day, Marcus stood on his porch again. But this time, he wasn't just a homeowner. He was evidence. He was a target. He was part of something much bigger than Harbor Ridge. The agents left at sunset, but before she got in her car, she turned back. This doesn't end with your neighborhood, she said. He nodded. I know. She gave a thin smile. And you're not out of it anymore. That night, Marcus sat inside, lights off, blinds down, silence. But he didn't feel fear. He felt purpose. Because now, this wasn't just about HOA. It was about exposing a hidden system that controlled communities from the shadows. And unknown to him, someone was watching through a live camera feed from miles away. Smiling. I didn't sleep that night. Not because I was scared, but because I finally understood something. This was never about grass height, or mailbox color, or parking rules. It was about power, and people who get addicted to it. The sun crept in, slow and quiet, like it didn't want to disturb what was about to happen. Outside, the neighborhood looked normal. Birds singing, sprinklers ticking, dogs barking. But under that calm surface, a war was ending. My phone buzzed at 6:41 a.m. One message, from her, the woman in gray. They're moving, stay ready. That was it. No explanation, no fluff, just a warning. I stepped onto my porch. Cold air, tight chest, quiet street. And then, engines, low, heavy, controlled. 5 black vehicles rolled in like shadows. No sirens, no lights, just presence. They didn't stop at the HOA building. They passed it and turned into the gated community across the creek, the one with perfect lawns, perfect fences, perfect silence, the one everyone always said, those people run everything. I followed at a distance, like a ghost in my own street. They pulled up outside one of those massive stone houses, the ones with cameras at every corner and gates inside gates. 1 door. 3 knocks, strong, firm, final. The door opened, and my stomach dropped. It wasn't Gloria. It was someone bigger, more polished, more dangerous. A man in his early 50s, clean suit, gold cufflinks, cold eyes, the kind of man who smiles while ruining lives. Federal Oversight Division, the agent in gray said. We have a warrant. He didn't flinch, didn't argue, just stepped back. Like he'd been expecting this moment for years. Inside that house, everything looked expensive. But dead. No family photos, no warmth, just power frozen into furniture. The kind of place you don't live in, you operate from. They pulled Phil, his hard drives, phones, stacks of HOA financial trails leading all the way back to this house. He finally spoke. "They'll replace me," he said calmly. "You know that, right?" The agent stared at him. "Not this time." He gave a thin smile. "There's always someone." She leaned closer. "And now, there's always someone watching." I didn't even realize my hands were shaking. Until it was over. By the time the sun hit noon, it was done. Networks exposed, accounts frozen, operations shut down. Not just our HOA, but dozens, across counties, across states. Gloria wasn't just removed. She was a pawn, always had been. But karma doesn't care about rank. 3 hours later, word spread like wildfire. Across Harbor Ridge, phones blowing up, doors opening, people stepping outside for the first time in months. Smiling, laughing, breathing. Mr. Alvarez hugged me. Mrs. Chen cried. Kids ran free on sidewalks without fear of fine notices. But it wasn't the smiles that hit me. It was the silence. No threats, no letters, no fake warnings. Just freedom. That night, I got one last message. Unknown number, no greeting, no name, just words. You broke more than a system. You broke a pattern. I stared at the screen for a long time, then deleted it. Not because I was scared, but because I didn't want to hold on to it anymore. A week later, the neighborhood voted, not for a new HOA board, but to dissolve it completely. All fines forgiven, all rules revised, no more power towers, just neighbors, real ones, human ones. As I stood on my driveway, watching kids ride bikes down the same road where threats once lived, I realized this wasn't revenge, this wasn't justice, this was evolution. Because when regular people stand up, not with rage, but with truth, even the deepest systems crack. I looked around. Same houses, same street, same sky. But everything felt different. Lighter, cleaner. Like a storm had passed and left something better behind. And then I smiled. Not because I won, but because they lost control. Before I go, let me ask you something simple. Real simple. If your HOA ever tried to control your life, would you fight them? Or would you let them rewrite your story? Tell me in the comments, what would you do?